Okay, perfect. So I think we're all about ready to get going here. All right. So for those of you who it's your first time joining in, today we're going to be running through a webinar that introduces Apptivo as a brand new product. We're going to give you a quick overview, run through a couple slides and explain what the product is, and then we'll spend most of the time actually going through the application, kind of introducing you to the common features, showing you how to navigate around, and also giving you an idea of what the capabilities are so you could figure out how Apptivo will best fit into your business. And to get started, just as a quick recap, I had asked a little bit of questions to the attendees today, and it looks like we've got some Google Apps users, so we'll spend a little bit of time talking about the Google Apps integration. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's get it started with what is Apptivo? Most basic question. Now, the way to look at our platform is it's an online suite of business management applications. So what we have is there's your standard Office collaboration features, like we have an email integration, we have a calendar where you can put reminders, there's a task list, there's an area for you to upload files and put notes. But all of this different collaboration information that you create, it's all linked up with various business data. So part of our platform is we have a CRM system, so you can have a database of every contact you interact with, and then you can track the notes and the calendar events and the emails related just to that contact. Then we have many other apps that handle different business functions. So as far as like what Apptivo is really powerful at, everything centers around the CRM system, having the customer database, being able to track sales leads and opportunities through your pipeline, and then also a customer support system, the help desk for your ticketing. That all makes up the CRM, and then everything kind of builds around that. So what we have is some great project management modules, so I can launch a project, whether it's for a service-based company or whether it's just an internal initiative, track my team, my milestones. We have a great Gantt chart built into there. We also have a very strong financials piece, so I'm going to be able to do quotes out of the software. I can do invoices as well. And then we have some other utilities like supply chain. We have some HR tools, some product management tools. All of these are built together into one suite, so there's basically just this app store where you get to go and pick and choose the apps you want, and you put them together into a solution. Now, the real power of Apptivo is, you get to go to one spot. You get all this information. But then all of these different apps get to talk to each other and share information. So for example, when you bring up a customer in Apptivo, you're going to be able to see their past email communication, their past deals, but then you could also see all of their support tickets and all the projects you're running for them, a history of invoices, and what you quoted them last week. All this information is available on one page right at your fingertips. So what you end up doing with all these different apps, as I mentioned, you kind of build them together into solutions. But everybody gets different things out of Apptivo. And this is totally dependent on your type of company, how many people you have, what existing software you have. Lots of different variables in play where at this moment you might be looking for just a CRM system. Maybe you're looking for just a project management system. Or maybe you are looking for an all-in-one utility like Apptivo offers. The way the system's designed is that you can start right now with any combination of the apps. They're all built into the platform. And then you can grow into the long-term solution that you envision. So depending on what you need right now, you can just form a solution out of a few Apptivo apps, and then as you go, you simply go to the App Store, turn on more apps, and eventually you can build out these true integrated solutions. So to give you a quick little insight into what one of these end-to-end flows might look like, because we love to call these the lead-to-invoice flows in Apptivo, is the flow for, let's say, somebody comes in from your website and contacts you. We have an app to track them inside of our Leads app. This is part of the CRM. There's a great mobile application for both iOS and Android, which gives you full access to the CRM. So you can track these leads, communicate with them, call them, take notes on there, set the next activities, and track all that within the leads. And then what we do is we convert it into what we call an opportunity. But we're still within the standard CRM area here. The idea is that let's say if somebody submitted their phone number or address on the website and you have it stored in this lead, when I convert it and move to the next stage in the process, all that information is copied on over. So, okay, you have a sales opportunity. That's still pretty typical from the CRM. But this is where things get special, is you can have this potential deal with the client. And then maybe they request that you send them a formal estimate. So what we can do is we can actually take that sales opportunity and convert it into an estimate like this. Email that quote out to them. And then what I could do is, well, I could bill them directly for that quote right away. Maybe you need to invoice up front and then launch the project. Or I could turn the estimate into a project. And then when it comes to the project, I could choose whether I want to bill hourly or bill based in phases. And all of that information gets collected and pushed to the final stage of the invoice. Now, as you step through like 5 or 6 different apps to go from initially contacting one of your customers to closing the deal and getting paid, we have these central apps, your customers and contacts, where all that information is collected back against. So that's what I'm going to definitely show you today is you can go bring up one of the customers you've been working with and see the full history of sales, support, project delivery, invoicing, and all the information you have about them. Okay, so we kind of quickly mentioned this in the last one, but Apptivo is a fully cloud-based infrastructure, so that means that you can access it from anywhere you have an internet connection, any web browser, but then we also do have a couple mobile applications for iOS and Android. These give you full functionality in the CRM, and there's some basic functionality in the invoicing app as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about like these central collaboration features that I initially mentioned. And a lot of these are going to be familiar for you. So if you're coming from the Google Apps environment, these are going to you're going to notice they align directly with the Google App services. If you're using Outlook or Microsoft product or Apple Mail, anything like that, you're going to notice a lot of these features are pretty standard as far as how they work. So one is we fully integrate with your email. You'll be able to connect any IMAP email account, and we have some great functionality here to sync sent and received mail, which we'll talk about. We have full syncs with Google Apps for Work. If you're a Microsoft like Office 365 customer, we do have this coming up in the roadmap. But right now, we'll sync your calendar, your contacts, your email, everything back and forth both ways. Inside of the system, that email management has built-in canned responses or email templates that you can define. So you'll see a lot of kind of marketing capabilities that you can do where I could go select a list of my contacts and then send them a certain email template which is personalized for each recipient. And then, of course, we have our integrated calendar and task management system. So every single reminder, every next action item you have anywhere in the business, we're going to have a place for you to store it. And then we also keep track of everything that's going on. So throughout the system, we have this feature called Newsfeed. Whenever you update a contact's phone number or add something in or change somebody's record, all of those updates are collected into this Newsfeed in a nice, easy way that you can browse through. Another big piece about Apptivo is it's generic software. It's designed to work for really any type of company out there. So one big piece of how the platform works is customizability and really just like removing the limits. So we strive to keep a very, very simple pricing approach where in our $10 plan you get access to pretty much everything. We don't limit based on like the number of contacts, number of projects or invoices that you can do. We don't count the storage of the fields on each contact, anything like that. The only thing we count is the actual files you upload into our system, and there's a document storage limit for that. Otherwise, you can do unlimited custom fields. We can create as many reports as we want. You can add as many email accounts as you want, unlimited incoming cases and everything like that. And there's no like limits or tiers of how many users you can add to each plan. It's just a nice, simple $10 per user per month. They get access to pretty much every feature inside of Apptivo. All right. So that's enough for those boring slides. Let's hop in. Let's show you the actual application itself. And just a quick little note, if you do have any questions throughout the demo, feel free to go ahead and ask them in that questions area, and then I will pause periodically to answer everything. All right. So what we've done is we've come to just the Apptivo.com website, and we're going to go ahead and log in with our email address here. So today I'll be demoing from this global tech company. We're logging in as Kenny Clark here, and he's an example owner of this business. Now, Kenny actually has access to 2 companies. Most of you will not see this. Just you do have the ability, if you have multiple businesses, we can manage them all in Apptivo. And then I've selected my one business. So now we log in. And let's just kind of quickly break down what we're looking at right here. So Apptivo is centered around a couple main elements. Right now we're looking at this thing called the agenda. So really you have the main section of the page right here, and you'll notice there's a couple links over there. So we're looking at the agenda. I could flip over to the news feed. We have our calendar here. And what these are those central collaboration features. So these are the features that exist actually inside of every app. And what these are just the central dashboards of every pending activity you have. So I mentioned that you have like a calendar and a task list and something called a follow-up. So the idea is that if you're working on a project or a sales opportunity or an invoice, you might have to set a reminder there. Maybe you have to meet up with your client to talk about an invoice or to meet internally to talk about a project. The idea is that, yes, you want to schedule them in the context of that invoice. So when I see that there's a meeting about the invoice, I can click on it and go get the details there. But then you also want one single place where you can go and see everything that you have to do. So that's the way that this agenda works is as you're going through your day-to-day activities, you'll be scheduling reminders, all of your next tasks that you need to do. And then when you log in the morning, you're drinking your morning coffee, you come to one page right here, and it should show you everything that you have to get done today. So today on my agenda, what I can see is I have a couple tasks I need to complete, and then I've got like a follow-up and a calendar event. So the way that this works is when I click on one of these, review the Deerfield proposal, I can see that this is associated with something. If I bring up this calendar event, we're going to notice it looks very familiar to your Outlook calendar, to Google Calendar, Apple Mail Calendar, your phone. All of these are structured to be very similar. They follow the same standards. The idea is that the ability to add attendees and a location and such for the calendar, that's not what's unique about it at all. What's unique is this calendar event is associated with the sales opportunity. So you might ask the question, well, what is this deal worth? Who are the contacts I have on this deal? What stage is it in? What was the last thing that we said to this customer? All of this is relevant information for you. So instead of having to open up another application, go find them inside of the CRM and look up the data, the idea is it's all right here at your fingertips. So I can click on this. I can see all the details stored about this customer, got their website and everything like that. And I could also go to the detailed view. So if I wanted to check out like their historical communication, anything like that, it's all available by clicking on that link. And what this has done is it's actually taken us into one of the applications. This particular app is the customers application, it's your central main database. Here, I've got all the details relevant to this customer, but I do want to take a quick step back. So what we just did is we came from the calendar, and we clicked on one of our reminders, and then it took us into this customer. So to give you some context, we have a bunch of tabs across the top, and if I clicked on a calendar event to get here, you're going to notice there's a calendar just for this customer up here. So when I click on this, what it'll do is it'll show me the same calendar that we saw on the home page, but now it's only going to show the events relevant to this particular customer. So that's kind of the way the whole system is structured, is as you go through any one of the Apptivo apps, when you bring up a customer or a work order or a project or a help desk ticket, all of them are going to have the same set of tabs across the top of the page. And these allow you to set reminders for the future. We can log communication, such as when I have a phone call with them or when I need to send them an email. There's a general notes area, so you can just type in anything you want. It's all time-stamped and all that. And then there's a place for you to upload files. I'm going to come back to this in just a moment. So real quick, let's talk about what these apps are. Because as we said, we just went into the Customers app. But what does that mean? So to start, let's go back to the main home page. So I can always click on that Apptivo logo in the upper left corner. It'll take us back to where we initially had started. Now this black bar across the top is how we get in and out of each of the individual applications, because there's a couple distinct activities you're going to do in the system. Sometimes you are just looking at your agenda. You're taking action on what you've scheduled in the past. Sometimes you might pick up the phone and you have a brand new sales lead, so you need to go enter a new contact or a new opportunity or something into the system. And then the other case is maybe you're trying to go do reporting, or you're trying to look up a specific deal, or maybe a customer calls me up and I want to check out the last time I spoke to them and what happened. So I want to go look for information inside of one of the apps. So this black bar allows me to get in and out of each of the applications. You'll see I've set mine up. This is for like a sales-oriented business, so I didn't really do any of the invoicing or anything like that. So you'll see here I've got, like, I set up a little flow where I've got my leads and my opportunities and my estimates available from one click. And the idea is if I click on any one of these, it'll go into that application. So here we go. We go into the Opportunities app. And then whenever you're in one of the apps, you're always going to see the name of the app displays up here so you know where you're at. I can navigate around. So this left navigation now applies only to the Opportunities app. So now you can see I can filter and see like all of my opportunities that are in the proposal price quote stage. I can also do many other kinds of filters. So you can actually search through your data in a very easy way. So I can come through, and then instead I could say show me all deals that are worth more than $5,000. So each of the apps is going to allow you to come in here and go browse through and search through your data, looking for one particular piece of information. And then the way that you get to structure these apps, so you'll notice I click on More, and then I've got Project Management, Human Resources, CRM, Product, and Financials. Now let's say that you are interested in some of the supply chain applications, and you don't see them up here. So this is where the App Store comes into play, where if I need to add a new application into my navigation, I click on this little shop icon up here in the upper right corner. So this will take me over to the App Store, and what I get is a list of every application available inside of the system, and then I just browse through and then either add or remove them. So let's say that we wanted to start tracking our vendors. I can just come in. It's called the Suppliers app. I can add that. And then the next time I refresh my page, you're going to see that my menu up here has updated. So one is I can put the app in there, but then two is you actually get to pick the order and the arrangement of your top 5. So yours is likely not going to look like mine is right now, but every user who's into the system always can click on their name in the upper right and then head over to the preferences area. So there's a lot of settings that you're going to define as an administrator of the company that apply to each user, but each user also can control a couple things themselves. So they get to upload their own photo, set their own password, they can connect their own email accounts, and then this is also where they can go and pick those top 5 applications that they want to have available. This is important in case you have people with different roles, such as one salesperson might want to have all the CRM apps versus your accountant might want to have all the financial applications instead. So each user gets to come in there, kind of set up their top 5 based on their usage of the system, and then they're always available up here no matter where you go, no matter what app you navigate into. Okay. So now we've kind of understand the concept of we've got core collaboration features. Every app builds around them. And then each app has its own specific business functions. Let's go take a deeper dive at the customer database because almost every person who uses Apptivo is going to use the CRM aspects to some extent, even if it's just basic contact management. So let's start off there. So I'm heading into the customers app. Okay, we notice navigation changes and all that, the search and everything, it's just for the customers. Now, I start off on this page of, okay, Newsfeed and recent customers, but let's say we want to go browse through them. There's lots of native fields built in to help you group your information. So, for example, I've grouped my customers into sales territories. Whoops, looks like nothing there. So, for example, I can click on Western US, and I get a list of my customers from the Western US. Each of these apps is going to have some basic built-in filters that you can utilize, but we can actually create our own custom filters. And there's a couple different concepts that I want to build on top of here, so we'll go through them one by one. The first item to just note is let me go ahead and create customer. And let's take a look at the fields that we get to store about this customer. So each app actually allows you to store different fields. A customer record, the things that are really important like a phone number, an address, maybe the type of industry that they're in, a website. And then you, let's say, have a sales opportunity. Important details about that are what stage is this deal in? How much money is it worth? When is it going to close? And who is assigned to it? Things like that. And then maybe you have an invoice. Important details are what are the products included in the invoice? What are the services? And how much are we charging per hour? What is the payment term for these invoice? So you have all these different attributes. The way Apptivo is designed is when you install it, you're going to kind of have this stencil. So yeah, you're going to have phone number and address fields built in there by default. But then you get to come through and change it. So you can make this fit your specific industry. What you're going to see here is I have a slightly modified version of the customer record. It's going to be pretty similar to what you do when you set up, but I've really done a lot of effort on just chopping out the extra stuff that's not really needed by this company. So you'll see I have the basics like name, and I move my phone number and email address up here. I've included a couple types of categories, so when I put a customer in, I can group them into that category. You'll see that I can assign it to a person. What Apptivo has is you can always assign records to an individual. There's also a system where you can form teams of your employees, and then you can assign to a whole team at once so people can share responsibility. We do have a relationship of hierarchy between customers, so I can have like a corporate entity with many child customers, and then a bunch of standard fields, so like the sales territory we saw, I can track what number of employees we have, all that stuff. But then down here, what I've actually done is I've created a completely custom section. So you definitely won't see a section called technical details when you hop into your business. This was meant to track some basic details about a customer account for this example tech company, because every industry is going to want different information to track about their customers and their deals. The idea is that we've just kind of given you some generic guidance on what to do. So here you'll see I've got like some drop-down menus I can select from with my own values. I have a yes, no, like a radio button. And then you can also do multi-selection. So here I could just check off from a list of different qualifications that this person has. So all this information gets stored into this main list of customers. So I can see them as I'm browsing through here. Now what you can do with that information is really special. So one thing you're going to notice right off the bat is when I'm looking through a list of my customers, I see like the name, and then I see territory, category, office type. So office type is one of my custom fields. As a user, you can actually choose exactly what columns are present here. Great feature called the view column sets that allows you to control these. And even better, you can actually flip between different column sets. So here I don't have like their phone number. So I can have a column set with contact information where I store well, it looks like I have the fax number, but I can choose like the phone numbers, maybe multiple phone numbers, and then I chose to put their addresses there. I have another column set called social media. So this way I can very quickly see all their different social media profile links and get out to them. So the idea is that you can set up these different column sets, so that way you can quickly bring up a list of your information and see the exact data points that you want to view. The other part about those custom fields is you can search on them as well. So as we saw, I had that technical details section down there. These are all fields that I've created. Very easy for me to come through and say, okay, well, show me everybody who's in a high-rise building who also has Comcast service. I could run that search. I now get my filtered list of data back. Then what I could do is I could choose which columns I want to view when looking through this list. I could even do a little bit of customization here, like, okay, well, let's see the ISP that they have. And maybe I can go remove that category field. So you can come, if I can click correctly. There we go. All right, so I can come through and I can customize everything like this. So I get my nice little save view. Now maybe you want to browse through this list of customers periodically. Like every week I just want to bring up this list and take a peek at them. I want to see how many are in here, all that. So what I can actually do is save my own view. This is a really cool feature. So what I've done is I've run a search to filter for my high-rise Comcast customers. I changed the columns that I'm looking at right here. Now I can create that view. I could share it with my colleagues if I want. And what happens is we actually insert your own right here. So now anytime you come back, you click on high-rise Comcast customers and you'll get that list of data that you had previously saved. Okay, so that's like the searching and the sorting functionality. Let's go back into one customer and then let's kind of finish showing you all the details that you have in each app. Okay, so what you have is the Overview tab when you're in each app. It's always going to show the fields that you've stored. So this is that customizable set. You can see, okay, multi-tenant office type with their ISP and all that information. Then we have the tabs across the top. So we have 3 types of reminders, which are calendar, follow-up, tasks. The way to look at these is the calendar and the follow-ups feature are where you put reminders to communicate with somebody. So if you have a meeting with somebody, if you have a scheduled phone call, anything like that, you use one of these 2 features. The difference is whether you have a time of day or not. So if you have a meeting tomorrow with a client at 2 p.m. at their office, that's an event that goes onto the calendar. If you've attempted to call a new sales lead today and they didn't pick up the phone and you want to put in a reminder to call them tomorrow, that belongs in the follow-ups tab instead. Everything else that you might have to work on, like every little note, reminder for yourself, like let's say I have to write up a sales proposal or go research some new topic, I can use my task list. These are all of the internal activities that I might want to go put into the system and have myself reminded about later on. So between those 3, that's pretty much everything that you might have as an action item into the future. And then what we have is logging of past information. So we have 2 features as your communication log. So we mentioned the call log. This is where I come in, basic notes to and from. On the email, you'll see that in this case I have a couple example emails already in there. So let's explain how awesome this email feature is. When you connect your email address to Apptivo, what happens is our system is sitting behind the scenes and we're listening to every email you sent and received. So you're not going to change the way that you use your email day to day. Like you're going to continue using Gmail, Outlook, Apple Mail, whatever your familiar client is, and you continue replying to emails just like normal. But what we're doing is we're listening to each one of these emails and then we're comparing them against your CRM database. So if we see that you've sent an email or received one from Maxine Johnson 08 at Gmail, we know that that email record belongs to this customer. So automatically when you come to the email tab in Apptivo, these are going to show up. You don't have to like BCC some address or associate it to this customer. All this happens automatically for you. This covers both received email and it'll cover the email that you send out to your customers as well. In addition to that, as a manager, if your employees are sending email through the system, you're also going to gain visibility into their email as well. So here I could come in and I could say, show me emails sent by a particular employee to this customer. Or just, hey, show me every email sent back and forth to this customer. So if one of my colleagues is out sick today and I need to figure out what they had last told and what they had promised, I can easily come here. I just look for all emails and I know the exact last correspondence we had with this customer. So those are your communication logs. And then the last 2 are kind of general features, but very, very commonly used. So you have a notes area where you can just take down general notes wherever you are. It'll do timestamp. It'll show who added the note there. Very simple but very essential feature. And then you have the file storage area. So here you can either upload a file directly from your computer. So let's say if I have a contract that I signed with the customer, I could go browse my computer and upload it there. But then here we also have integrations with both Dropbox and Google Drive. So here, if I want to attach from Google Drive, I just click this button. It's going to instantly bring up a pop-up. It shows me every document that I have stored away in Drive. I could either go select an existing one, or I could go like browse through my folders, or I can even upload a brand new file right from here. It'll go into Google, and it'll go right into Apptivo as well. Then it just forms a link right there where you get to click on it. It'll open up a new tab with that document in Dropbox or Google, whichever service that you used. Okay, so that's pretty much all the information about this one customer, other than the related information. So there's two more features you'll notice I skipped over, which is 360 view and the Newsfeed, both very important. We saw the Newsfeed when we went to the home page. It showed me every update across the whole business. But we have the Newsfeed in the context of everything you're working on. And when you're looking at a customer record, this Newsfeed becomes very powerful, especially if you're doing invoicing and project management and field service and all those other modules, because everything connects back to a customer. So when I go to one of the other applications and I, let's say, create a new invoice, I actually have to link it to this customer. So let's go just quickly check out that process. If I go hop into the invoicing application, because a large percentage of the customers out there will use invoices as well. So let's kind of demonstrate the connectivity between your business data. So I've already got that database of customer records. We were just looking at the customer called Maxilon. So I can come in here and I can go create a new invoice. The idea is that it should be able to pull all the information I have from that other database. So let's just say this is going to be items only. So right there, I just start typing in Maxilon. Now, as far as needing like the email address to notify and the physical address to print onto the invoice and all that information, it's all stored on the side of the CRM. So you'll notice I don't have to change any of that here. It's not going to ask me for a phone number or anything like that because the system knows. Other invoice, you have the general invoice details. So, okay, there's the payment term. We have different templates. I can discount the invoice, standard stuff. And then we have an integration with our product database. So there's actually one app in Apptivo called the Items app, and it integrates with every other app. So you might have a sales opportunity. You can attach products onto that. Then you might do a quote. It uses the same products. If you do a work order, it uses the same products. You can record a help desk ticket against a certain product, and you can invoice for these products. So it's all in these reusable forms that you have. So it makes it very, very simple. Saves you a lot of time. And here you see I've got like even services can be put into this Items app. So that way I just grab, okay, graphic design, 1 hour. I'm coding them for 15 hours. And you'll see the standard rate there and some standard description, although I can go put notes in. The key here is I'm sending an invoice to Maxilon, specifically to the contact Maxine Johnson, who I have. So we'll go ahead, we'll email that invoice out. Yeah, we have a great template system. We have online payments integration so they can actually pay the invoice online right here. But let's just go ahead and leave that as is, because what I want to demonstrate is the connectivity between your business data. Because every invoice platform can go create an invoice and send it out to your customer. Every CRM database can just store a list of your information. What not every platform can do is have a link directly on your invoice to click on that customer record and see every other piece of past information about them. So this is really where the power of the integrated applications comes together. So what we're going to be able to see is, one, we have this great feature called 360 view. So instantly I can see a history of every piece of information I have about them, because we've got our communication details over here, and then I've got my past transactions with them. So I can see if I have any help desk tickets for them. I can see any quotes sent to them in the past. We should be able to see that invoice that we just generated a few moments ago. And I could also see projects and work orders and everything else relevant to them. So basically every app in the system somehow connects back into the customer application, because almost everything you're doing is in the context of a customer. So therefore, you can do quick real-time lookups of every past transaction right here on this one page. Now this kind of relies on you knowing what you're looking for. Sometimes you just want to come to a customer account and say, what was the last thing we did for them? And that's where that Newsfeed comes into play. So we just performed that action by creating an invoice from the Invoicing app. We never came to the customer's app, but when I bring up the customer record right here, I can see that new invoice is scheduled in. So the idea is that this customer Newsfeed will aggregate all the events from all the applications. This gets really cool, where it doesn't matter if your accountant was the last person to interact with this customer or whether it was your sales team or your delivery team. Everything comes back to this one page. So you just come here, you click Newsfeed. I see the last thing we did was we sent them an invoice. Before that, I added a task that I had to write up a proposal for them. And we can go all the way down the timeline to see, okay, well, before we had, they initially came into the system, we just created them. Somebody added a note, we uploaded some documents and files, generated Maxine, added her to the company. Then we had a new opportunity with them. So we had the opportunity, we went through, we followed up with them, then we closed the deal, we generated a quote. The quote got accepted, we moved it onto the invoice, and then we collected payments on the invoice. So all that just kind of stacks up in order, really gives you that true 360-degree view of every customer that you interact with. Okay, so that was kind of the basis of what's most important about Apptivo. The rest of this demonstration is going to be around, I'm going to show you one kind of interconnected business flow. So we're not spending too much time on specific business processes like the invoicing or project management because it's a general demo. It's meant to introduce the platform as a whole, not any specific type of solution. So I want to spend a couple minutes just showing you one of the solutions. Like I'll run through a little bit of the project management and billing solution for you so you can get an idea of some of the other capabilities in Apptivo. And then at the end, we'll spend a few minutes just showing you about some great places to go get help, where to go find new materials, and how to figure out what solution is right for your type of business. All right, so we're going to hop back to the main homepage, and then let's just run through one quick example scenario. So we're this tech company. Let's just say we're building websites for people out there. So what I might end up doing is maybe I have a scenario I need to track a new website opportunity. A customer comes to me, they say, hey, I want to redesign my website. So we got to go through, we got to give them a quote. When they accept the quote, we have to collect payment. Let's just say we collect the whole payment up front. And then we need to track the delivery of our service. So maybe we need to go launch a project and manage all the different tasks going on inside of it. Or maybe we need to manage a work order. So let's just kind of quickly run through and show you the conversion flows so you can step through one of those processes. So right here, we'll run through kind of this example flow, but we'll do a little bit of a variation on it. So we'll go lead, opportunity, estimate, straight to invoice, and then we'll launch a project separately. Okay, so business could start off in the leads application. So let's just say that I bought a list of local businesses. I imported the full CSV into here as a lead list, and then I would just want to run through and take action on them. So let's go grab this Barney here. So I'm going to be doing my standard stuff, communicate with them, set reminders, maybe send one of those standard email templates out to them. Eventually, I'm going to turn this into a real deal. So once I establish that relationship with them, I can turn them into a sales opportunity. And I'll give you guys one article on specifically kind of how to figure out what each one of these CRM apps are and then what stages to move through. But we'll just kind of quickly move through. The key here is it's taking the phone number and the email address and everything about this lead, and then it's copying it into the various records. So it's actually going to create a customer, which is like the business that or the company we're doing business with. The contact is the individual, Barney, that we're currently talking to. And then the opportunity is this website redesign that we're trying to do for First Spice Mixing. So here, it's copied all the information for me. I shouldn't really have to touch anything. And it's just going to walk me through the process so I can create each one of them. When we hit the opportunity stage, we're going to have to punch in like a value for the opportunity and what stage it's in, when we think it's going to close. I also want to name it appropriately. So this is, oops. So give it a name. Say it's worth about 10,000. Came from a cold call. And let's just say we think about 75% likely to close and should be closed by the end of the month. So we get to key in all these details. And then we could also hop in here and say, okay, well, what other custom details are relevant to this deal? Okay, so I get to check off all that info, then I'll go ahead and create that opportunity. Okay, so now it'll actually pop up inside of the Opportunities app. All the data is interlinked like we saw with the invoice, so I could come to the lead and then click on this opportunity to get to it. But let's just go straight to the Opportunities app, and I'll show you a cool little dashboard here. So Opportunities has like some visual reports in there because it's meant to track all of your sales. So I've got this nice pipeline breakdown, shows me all the deals closing this month, and we'll see that website redesign is right on top. So we'll go ahead, we'll bring up this website redesign. And then we're taking our next set of actions. It's really the same thing you're doing in the leads. We are setting reminders, we're communicating with them, shooting them emails, taking notes. The only other thing you might do is, well, if I know like what types of services or products they're interested in, well, I can start keying in these details. Let's just go add some hours of both. And eventually, we can generate a quote for the customer. So once again, the idea is that all the information we've typed in so far should be able to easily transfer onto this estimate that we generate. So you always look in the upper right corner, you should see a convert or a generate button, and then we can take it to the next stage. So you'll see the couple different potential next stages you have. These are also configurable based on the business flows you want to set up. And then in this case, we'll move over to an estimate. So customer contact, auto-copied. As we know, their address and phone number and email are automatically stored. We get the list of services and items. Let's just say we only want to leave these 2 items. They were copied from the opportunity. And then down here, we have all the totals. So let's just go ahead and email that estimate out to the customer. We have a PDF generator built into the system. So every estimate and invoice and purchase order and such that you generate get printed out just like this. We can stick your logo on it. We can put your address up here. It's actually a nice drag and drop editor, so you can change all the text inside of here. And there's also a web link, so they can actually view it online and then approve the whole estimate. So I'll show you this cool little flow. So your customer will get their email, they click on this link, and then it'll bring up this page. So I see all the same details, but up here I can ask for a change, or hopefully they just hit that approve button. So customer approves your estimate. That means the deal's closed. Now I actually have to go and deliver the service. So this is where I could go and I could bill them immediately, or I could deliver the service, then bill them. In this case, you'll just notice the different options. So I go to a project if I want to deliver service first. In this case, I'll go to a invoice, and let's just collect payment from them. So stepping on through, once again, we have the opportunity to make changes to any of the pricing or description. Otherwise, we can just send it on out. The one big difference here is there's integrations with PayPal, Authorize.net, and then a company called Zipmark as well. So actually, we can configure it where on the bottom of this invoice, you'll get some buttons where they can pay it online. So either you can just write in some manual options, so you get to control all the text down here, or you can have it pop up like right in the middle with the PayPal button, so they can proceed and pay it directly online for you. Okay, so you get your invoice paid off, and then on the project management side, what I'll do is I'll actually show you a quick little preview from another firm. So I'm going to switch on over to a business which has some existing projects just so we don't have to go and create one from scratch. There's actually a great project template system built in, so I can like launch a project and select a template of like website design, and then it'll actually build out my whole schedule for me. So project management is actually one very popular module inside of Apptivo. A lot of people using it, so you'll definitely notice it's a little more robust than the others. Although I definitely just clicked on the wrong business. Looks like it did not like me changing that. Let's go ahead and refresh the page. Okay, perfect. So I'll hop into Global Consulting, and then we're going to move into the project management app. And I'm just going to show you a completed project because, like I said, there's a ton of little features in each app that I'd love to show them all, but for today's presentation, we're going to kind of cut it off here, and then we'll dive into specifically, we have one question about like how easy it is to customize, so I'll show you some of the customization, then I'll give you a bunch of kind of pointers and help links on how to go take the next steps with getting Apptivo set up. Okay, so I'll bring up one of these should be a good example, Jordan's website design. So let's go ahead and bring this one up. Now, inside of the project, although it's very intensive on the task management, you're going to notice everything's centered around the same set of collaboration features. What makes this really nice is you can have these tasks which are grouped into milestones, they have a schedule associated with them, but they still show up in that main agenda when you first log into Apptivo. So even if you have a project task, it sits right next to every sales task and every billing task that you might have. What's different is, well, you have these tabs over here which are unique to projects. So you can build a team of people who are working on this project. I can set the billing rate for each individual. And then we even have like a Gantt chart, so I can view the whole project drawn out, and it'll actually allow us to make changes to the project directly from here as well. Apologies, seems like my internet's having a little bit of hiccup there. So here we got our Gantt chart, and what's really sweet is I can take this, like let's say a client delays one of your tasks. I can actually drag this, and it'll delay the rest of the project schedule appropriately. So now those tasks sitting in your main agenda, they're all pushed back to the appropriate time. So everything's kind of interconnected like that. There's direct flow from the project to go generate invoicing. So once again, kind of doing these business flows. Everything's centered around connected business data, and being able to take your information from one step and move it on to the next step of your business process. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's do a quick little moment. So the exact question was, how customizable and easy is the integration, like the custom fields and the view column sets? And it's a great question. So I showed you the end result of what you can do, like the fields I had already generated. Let me go show you how I created those fields and how simple it is to make updates to them. So previously we were in the Customers app, and we saw that we had several fields about the customer. One cool little feature which you didn't really notice is the Customers app had those fields shared from the Leads application. So this technical details section, I've actually created it once inside of one of my applications, and then I chose all the other apps that I want it visible inside of. So each app allows you to control the fields individually. So let's say I want to take the sales rep field, and I'd rather call it sales agent. I can change the labels on any one of them. Just click on it, make an adjustment. This will update in real time. Let's say I wanted to rearrange things, like maybe the tags I would like to have above. Just click on it, drag it up. The whole interface is drag and drop. You can organize your fields into sections. So you'll see I have like technical details and social information, and I can actually drag and drop these. So maybe this technical details is really important, so I want to move it up a little bit and slide it up here. Oops, I didn't mean to make it that important. Let's see. Just got to get that to drag in the right spot. Perfect. So now I've got my main section, and then technical details is number 2. Now let's say if I wanted to change one of these fields. Because they're shared from another app, I actually have to go to the app. So here I'm going to go to the original app where I configured all those fields, and I'll show you how to go make an adjustment to them. So one thing you'll notice right there is I just switched. I went from customers to leads. The process of where I go customize the fields is actually identical across each of the apps. So yes, we have a ton of different applications available, but the idea is they're very consistent with each other. So when I show you one little trick in one of the apps, like doing that save search we did earlier, you can go apply that knowledge to every app inside of Apptivo. So this page is called Customize App is where I go to, and we'll see it's the same kind of interface. Nice drag and drop tool. We see the technical details section there. Now let's say we wanted to add another value into this website tech, or if I wanted to rearrange some values to make a little more sense. I can do all of my tweaks and adjustments directly from here. So maybe I want to add like Ruby on Rails. That'll pop up in the list. And then immediately after saving this, every time when I go input or update a customer, I'm now going to be able to select that Ruby on Rails version. So everything that I'm doing here as far as like rearrangement and all that, it all takes instant effect. So if I go punch in a new lead, we should see the rearranged fields right there. And if I pop open technical details, I can see I can now select Ruby on Rails. It'll apply to every other feature instantly too. So now you'll notice your search has been updated, so you can filter based on people who have this Ruby on Rails setting. I could also even go build like an email template, and I can include that information into it. So we have this cool email template system, and what you'll notice is every field can be inserted into your email template. So it'll insert that crazy looking variable right there, but then when you go send this email to one of your customers, it'll take that value as it was stored on side of their customer record. The other feature I showed you about those view column sets, it's right here. So this is another kind of drag and drop interface. You'll see I have those different columns like the contact info and social media that we saw earlier. And if I wanted to change like the default for the business, like let's say estimated close date is not too important in this situation, I can come through and I can just go find that field wherever it lies and I can hide it. Maybe I also want to go hide, I think I saw phone fax. Maybe that's not too important for me, so I'll go ahead, I'll remove that fax number. And I could do some click and drag. Maybe I want to rearrange it to make company appear first and then email and then create it by, something like that. So you can make all those tweaks. They can really be done by anybody. You don't have to be an Apptivo expert or a programmer or anything. And then all those changes will happen for the rest of your business. Okay, so that's the customization. What I want to do is I want to leave you with a couple good pieces of information. So one of the first things you do with Apptivo is you figure out what solution's right for you. I talked about project management, field service, help desk, all of that. So we actually have an article that'll help you with that. It breaks down each one of our primary solutions and kind of runs you through that process. So certainly this is of value. One of the first things you want to do is figure out what solution is right for you. And there's also one overall starter guide that we've just built. So great new feature, great new resource for you to use. It'll reiterate a lot of what we've talked about today, such as like how to configure the business and all that. but it's also a great source of information for other tips. It shows you like how to import data, and there's a lot of like screenshots and examples built in here. So definitely a starter guide which leads you to selecting the right solution. And then the other big piece that I wanted to show you is how to simplify Apptivo. So all the customizations that I just showed you the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more tweaks that you can do to make Apptivo more efficient and just make it easier for everybody to use. So we've kind of documented the top customizations that you can do to streamline Apptivo and customize it for your specific business model. So between these 3 links, you've got a lot of great information to utilize. Hopefully this will help get you started. And with that, I'm pretty much done with my presentation, so we'll just open this up to any sort of questions and answers to round it out. And yeah, so thanks everybody for attending. If you're going to go ahead and drop off now, hopefully you found this to be quite useful, and we'll see you next time.